one of the top names on the market. And listen, I have been a guy that has been dreaming of Jorge Soler to come to my Red Sox. That bat at Fenway Park, Lansdowne Street would be just, it'd be a mess with all of the home runs that Jorge Soler would be hitting there. But to be honest with you, this is a great move for the Giants. Absolutely fantastic here. It is a 3-year deal, reportedly for $42 million, so $14 per season. We had a lot of teams connected with Jorge Soler, and my Red Sox were connected with Soler, the Blue Jays, the Mets at one point. It seemed like a lot of teams, though, were not willing to go over the 2 years, and that ended up being the sticking point. And we had been seeing some reports that Soler was not budging off the 3 years, but if there was one team to go over that 2-year mark that a lot of teams were not willing to go past, it's the Giants. Because, listen, the San Francisco Giants, the main talking point, right, is the Giants needed a power bat. And yeah, I'll jump into that. They absolutely did, right? Because when you looked at the lineup, I loved the addition of Young-Hoo Lee. I thought that was a great addition for them. I thought Bellinger would have been really good for them because, to me, it would have been that impact bat that just made a lot of sense for center field. And, hey, they decided to go Young-Hoo Lee there, and I thought that was a great move. Gets them a guy like a spark plug, high-energy guy for the top of the lineup. Thought that was a great move. But with my thinking with Bellinger was they needed an impact bat. So I'm thinking, okay, Young-Hoo Lee, that's not really an impact bat. That's a spark plug kind of a bat. Guy that's going to be, I think, a pretty good leadoff hitter for them. But they were connected to guys like Rhys Hoskins, right? Power bat there. He ended up going to the Brewers. So when it came to Jorge Soler popping up with the Giants, I was like, okay. To me, when I thought of Jorge Soler, I thought of a guy where he's not really going to be a great outfielder, but he was a guy that maybe can go play a little bit of outfield here and there for the Giants, but I would imagine he's mostly going to be a DH. So, he can go play a few games out there. Is it going to be the best option? Probably not, but my guess is that he gets at least, like, if he has a fully healthy season, I would imagine 100, 120 games at the DH spot. Maybe gets like 20, 30 games in left or something like that, just to give a guy a day off or something like that. So, they did have a lot of guys in this lineup already. There was a bit of a log jam there. And if we actually go take a look at the bench, and don't forget, they also added Otto Lopez today. So now the question is, what happens with, J.D. Davis? J.D. Davis, this is a guy where, he's not projected for the best numbers for next year. And he wasn't necessarily bad last year. Hit 248, a 325 on base, the 413 slugging, 18 home runs. But could that be a guy maybe that ends up going somewhere else, or maybe he's a guy that kind of rotates in and out, gives them that righty bat there. You got Tower Estrada, you got Lamont Wade Jr., Wilmer Flores. So I would imagine they probably hang on to him because he's a guy that is a righty bat that they can rotate in and out. Like Lamont Wade Jr. is a lefty bat. So you got J.D. Davis there. So I don't think it's completely out of the question that he's going to find himself a decent amount of at-bats. So that's kind of the way I see it going. And overall, I really like the way this Giants lineup looks. What I really want to point out is that up the middle, you got Patrick Bailey, one of the best defensive catchers in the game, if not the best defensive catcher at this point already. I mean, my goodness, what he did behind the plate last year was phenomenal. And then you got Young-Hoo Lee, who's going to be a guy that gives you some speed out in center field. So you got good defense at catcher. You got good defense out in center field. I like that. You got some pop now with Jorge Soler. You got a good amount of role players here. You got the platoons that you could still work in and out. I'm liking the way the Giants are looking. I think now this is as close to a complete team as you can get. I like the rotation. Robbie Ray, he's going to be back probably a little after the All-Star break. If he's back to his old form, then hey, that's not a bad addition for them. But then he would be coming back in with Logan Webb, Kyle Harrison, Jordan Hicks. Let's see how that goes. I'm a fan of Keaton Wynn. I think Keaton Wynn could honestly have himself a big year. There's a lot of good things about Keaton Wynn, man. Has really good stuff, throws a ton of strikes. So I think this rotation has a lot of upside. And then the bullpen. I think that, and don't forget, they brought in Amir Garrett, non-roster invite. Let's see. So, I think there's a lot of good things about this Giants team. I just think they really needed that impact bat. I think it really closes the gap on them being like that bona fide wild card contender. I think we can all pretty much say, I know you don't win the division in the offseason, but I think we can all probably say the Dodgers, they're probably going to win that division. Who knows? Could it be the most epic collapse of all time and they don't even win the division? I don't even know. But what Jorge Soler is going to be bringing to you, a lot of home runs, 36 last year, a very good WRC plus of 126, over a 500 slugging at 512. And if we take a look at where the Giants were last year, 21st overall in WRC plus, that's going to be a boost for them right there. That's what I was talking about. They needed that impact bat. So good move for the Giants. To me, I think it was worth it that they ended up going that third year. Was that a sticking point? I'm not sure if that's out there or not. I don't know for sure if they only wanted to go 2 at one point. But if they were at 2 and Jorge Soler and his camp was pretty much saying, no, we need 3, right? And if the Giants ended up just going that extra year, I think it's worth it. I do. I just think it's a good move for the Giants because they needed that, right? They needed it. And Jorge Soler, he gets his 3-year deal. He gets a home at the end of the day. I think it's a good move for both sides. So let me know what you all think in the chat. I'm going to put up a new poll. Do the Giants... Actually, let me end this poll right now. Everyone, if you can, hit that like button for me. The goal for tonight is 200. We're going to start a new poll. Will the Giants make the playoffs in 2024 with Jorge Soler? All right, let me know what you think. The poll is popping up. And let me know what you think. All right, so let's move on to our next story. And what does this mean for some other free agents on the board, right? Matt Chapman, that's a guy. I swear I was like one of the first people. I'm not trying to take credit, but I feel like no one was talking about Matt Chapman to the Giants. And I did it in my predictions. And then all of a sudden, everyone was like, wow, oh my goodness, Matt Chapman to the Giants. Listen, I'm not trying to be that guy right now, but I think I was like the first one to say it, man. I could be wrong. But now, what does this mean for Matt Chapman? What does this mean for Cody Bellinger? Right? So we just looked at the lineup with the San Francisco Giants. And, I don't know, man. It's looking a little full. I don't know what to think about it. I don't know. Now, sure, could it happen? I mean, could they make some noise? Could they maybe move some guys around? Let me go back here to the Giants. I don't know why I closed it out. But if we're looking at the Giants right now, they got their right-handed impact bat. Chapman's not an impact bat by any means, right? So really what Chapman is going to be doing, he's going to be bringing pretty similar offense to what Wilmer Flores would be giving you. And I just think at this point, if Wilmer Flores is going to be the third baseman moving forward, I don't know. Chapman's going to bring you a lot better defense. But if Wilmer Flores can simply just hold it down at third base for you, I think the Giants are going to be okay with that, right? Chapman, that defense would be more of a luxury, if anything. Now, Wilmer Flores, his defense, last year was a little questionable, negative 8.4 on the defense last year. If we actually just go take a look here, he did play a little third base. Right? If we take a look at those numbers, it wasn't, it was 131 innings. He was all right. Well, I don't want to say all right. He was below average, right? -3 outs above average, -3 on the defensive runs saved. So, yeah, Chapman would be an upgrade right there. Is it going to be worth over $100 million, for a 4 or 5 year deal? I don't know. I think that's the big question there. You're basically, because you're going to be getting really the same bat, in my opinion, with Wilmer Flores there. Right? I mean, honestly, those numbers are pretty close to what Chapman put up last year. Right? Similar batting average, similar on the on base, similar slugging, right around. I think these are almost exactly Chapman's numbers from last year. So, I don't know. I'm starting to think, man. Yeah, Chapman would be an upgrade at third. So if you sign Chapman, could you move Wilmer Flores to another position, right? Played a lot of first. So maybe you could do Flores, maybe Lamont Wade at first base, or maybe just Wilmer Flores ends up being like that Chris Taylor kind of a type where he plays multiple positions and he gets into the lineup that way. Matt Chapman will make this team better. Will make them better, for sure. I'm just thinking from the Giants' point of view, not my own. Will they think that money for Chapman, where you're pretty much going to be getting a similar bat with Flores, is the defensive upgrade going to be worth it? I don't think it's out of the question for them to bring in Chapman, right? We'll just have to see, right? You got a lot of guys. I mean, like Logan Webb, he's going to induce a lot of ground balls. You know what I mean? So I think having Chapman on this team will be huge for them. It's just a question of will they do it, right? If it were me, if I'm in that chair, if I'm playing, MLB The Show, yeah, I'm signing Matt Chapman last week. I've already signed Matt Chapman about 8 months ago, right? Now, I think Chapman would be perfect for this team. It's just the question is, what do you do with all these guys, right? That's the only thing now. Before Jorge Soler, which I do think the bat of Jorge Soler is much, much better, right? Obviously, Chapman, he'll be okay. He'll be fine. But no, Soler was absolutely a better ad offensively. I think, remember what I said earlier, I think they're as close to a complete team as possible. I think Matt Chapman makes them a complete team. I do, because he improves the defense, right? We'll see. We will see. Again, you're going to have to do something with one of these guys. Conforto, in my opinion, was a little underwhelming last year. But is that really fair? Because he did miss the entire previous season. But, when I'm looking at that the subpar slugging percentage right there, under 400, I don't know. But what team will take him? You know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, could you maybe move him to, the Guardians or something? Could you do that? Right, they could maybe use some kind of offense, but is he really gonna, push the needle for you? I mean, could you move? I don't know. I feel like Wilmer Flores, that's kind of a guy you want to hang on to. I would think he was very good for you last year, and he has that versatility, so I think you keep him. All right, Tyler Estrada, he gives you some speed. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways you could go, or to me, I think if you move J.D. Davis at this point, I don't know, could you move him? And then maybe one of these other guys could be more of a bench piece. And to me, Wilmer Flores, that's not really a guy you want to put on the bench, right? Despite all the versatility that he has. I mean, his bat was really good last year. So, yeah, I think Chapman can still go to the Giants. I wouldn't call it a slam dunk, though, because, again, I'll say one more time, I'm thinking more from the Giants' point of view, because they already have so many position players now. Do they maybe just roll with that? Or go get Chapman, right? However, there are some other teams out there where I think there could be at this point, more of a clean fit. Now, the Giants, they could definitely make the fit happen, but they're going to have to kind of shove some guys out of the way. Now, the Chicago Cubs, they make a lot of sense for Matt Chapman. All right, if you take a look here, I've been saying this all offseason. Yes, Giants, Chapman, perfect. Well, now you got Jorge Soler, and now the Cubbies, maybe you can make an upgrade here, right? And to me, I've been saying this for a while. Everyone's going to roll their eyes because they know exactly what I'm about to say. But Swanson and Chapman, left side of the infield, it's perfect. It's so good. What a great infield that would be with Nico Hoerner. I mean, Chapman, man. Is it just me, or does Matt Chapman just feel like a Chicago Cub? I can envision him in that Cubs jersey. I don't know what it is. I'm seeing Chapman smiling right now. He's got the Cubby blue. I just see it. I don't know why. It makes me happy inside. It makes me feel warm. It just feels good. It feels nice. I can see it. I'm just saying. I think the Cubs are a good fit, and they haven't really done anything, right? Or I will honestly leave out a little bit of hope. Probably not. But the Detroit Tigers, right? A.J. Hinch, she was a little lukewarm on their third base situation. He pretty much made it sound like, you're probably going to be mixing and matching, kind of putting guys in, at different points. But I think Chapman would be really good. Jose Espinosa, I'm crushing on Chapman right now. I'm crushing on him. I mean, look, I'm crushing on anyone who wants to sign right now, okay? Like, just can someone please sign? Please. Jorge Soler, thank you for that. But third base for the Tigers, I think that would be a sure thing. And, hey, you want to talk about left side of the infield, Javier Baez, his defense is still rock solid despite the bat being kind of meh, right? But Baez and Chapman on the left side of the infield, I think that would be really good. Right, that would give him some good defense. Another veteran guy. You've already added Kana here. You've added a couple of pitchers in the rotation like Flaherty and Maeda. Right, you've added some bullpen pieces in Chafin and Shelby Miller. Chapman, to me, that makes them, in my opinion, pretty legit, if you ask me. I'm just saying, you get a rock solid third baseman right there, and you pair him with this youth like Torkelson and Green and Meadows. I mean, you've already added Kana and Colt Keith. Sorry, I forgot to mention him. I mean, this would be a really good Tigers team if they brought in Matt Chapman. Now, will they do it? I don't know. Doesn't seem like, they have done some, a couple of moves, but will they go that route? We'll see. But to me right now, I think with Chapman, I think the two best fits are the Cubs and the Tigers. Could you just go back to the Blue Jays as well? Honestly, I wonder, because Chapman, he had that great start last year, and then the second half, he really cooled off. Does he go back to the Blue Jays, maybe like a one-year deal, like a prove-it kind of a deal? Right? It says, hey, you know what? I'm not just the first half kind of a guy. I can be consistent all year. Right? I can show you what I can do. I would imagine the one-year deal is still possible because he's 31. If he goes back out into the market next year, he'll be 32. All right, so you can maybe go land himself like a 3 or 4 year deal, right, at that time. I think that's possible. So we'll see. I'm seeing someone who said in the chat, someone about maybe the Phillies. I don't know about the Phillies. Baseball's not dead. What's going on? Yeah, I agree. 31 years old, a prove-it kind of a deal maybe is not the best option for someone that's 31 years old, but, I mean, if no one's going to give him a 4-year deal, 5-year deal, but, maybe it ends up being a good idea to do like that Marcus Semien kind of a thing where you take that 1-year deal. Semien was a little younger, though. So I don't know. I do personally think Chapman will end up getting a multi-year deal, but I won't completely write off maybe a 1-year. Just to, get yourself situated for next year and then try again next year. But I agree with you. It wouldn't be the best situation for him. I'm just kind of thinking in terms of his market, right? So, Max Chapman and Cody Bellinger. What about Cody Bellinger here? Well, I honestly wonder here, who goes first? Is it going to be Bellinger or is it going to be Chapman? I don't know, man. I almost wonder if Chapman ends up going first. Because I feel like Boris, and I might be wrong. Like, I don't know. I'm kind of just throwing like a million darts at the wall and seeing what hits. But I wonder if Boris is trying to hold Bellinger out as long as possible to try and maximize his deal. Because Bellinger's not doing a one-year deal. Let's be real. He's going to get a multi-year deal. And Bellinger, at this point, I think Chapman really, he is what he is, right? Bellinger, he's a bit more of an interesting case where he had those 3 down years, but he had the bounce back season last year, looked really good. So there's more ceiling with Bellinger, right? Where Chapman, like I said, he is what he is at this point, right? He's going to be a decent offensive third baseman, but with a great glove, right? Bellinger, he could end up being a game changer. So I feel like Boris ends up holding him out. So I wonder if the Cubs, I'll say this right now. If the Chicago Cubs end up getting Matt Chapman and Cody Bellinger, what an offseason that is. That is a fantastic offseason. If you had an offseason of Bellinger, Chapman, Imanaga, Hector Neris, that's an A. That's an A if you ask me. That's not bad at all. All right. So Bellinger's interesting. At this point, with Bellinger, now, I mean, we already kind of knew he probably wasn't going to go to the Giants. But, guys like John Heyman, Bob Nightingale, they were still keeping it alive for some reason. I don't know. After the Young-Hoo Lee signing, I wasn't really thinking that was going to happen. But, what are some teams here for Bellinger? Well, obviously the Cubs make a lot of sense, right? I think we can all agree. Just going back to the Cubs makes a ton of sense. The Angels have been out there. I don't know, man. The Angels are kind of giving me this impression they're not really going to drop big bucks unless it's Blake Snell. I don't know, man. But the problem with Blake Snell and the Angels, I think on paper he's a perfect fit. I've said that a million times, and I will keep saying that, right? Because they need an ace guy. Sorry, Reed Detmers to me, I do think there's a lot of upside with Reed Detmers, but I feel like you need something, right? I feel like you need a little something else. But Artie Moreno, he doesn't like to do the long-term deals for the free agent pictures, right? Last guy they got was oh my gosh. I just said his name the other day too. CJ Wilson, right? CJ Wilson was the last one they did. You know what I mean? So I just don't see it. If Artie Moreno is sticking to his guns about the free agent pitching thing, if he's not going to sign Snell, I have a hard time seeing Bellinger. It's crazy because, right, they're always so big on signing these position players, but I don't know, man. I don't know. All right, I see you in the chat, Robert. What is the price on Duvall? Duvall has been connected with the Angels as well. That also kind of makes me think the Angels aren't fully gonna go in on Bellinger, right? Because if they're looking at Duvall, he's a much cheaper option. So I don't know about that. Trout, I know the thing with Trout is they would like to move him more to left field, right? So what does that mean for Taylor Ward, right? I don't know. I don't think the Angels do anything with this lineup. I think Bellinger would be cool, right? But at the end of the day, I kind of don't see it. If you're looking at some maybe other teams, I won't count out the Blue Jays. They've been connected with him. They just always seem to be a really good fit for him. So, I don't know. I don't know if I see the Blue Jays, though. You brought in Kevin Kiermaier. Kiermaier would basically be your fourth outfielder, right? So, I don't know if I see the Blue Jays. I don't know. I've seen some people mention Houston. That could be pretty cool, right? Houston has, if you're looking at this lineup right now, you're looking at a situation where you got Jake Myers out in center field. They did the Jose Altuve deal. So, I don't know. You brought in Abreu last offseason. That really was a bust in his first year. So Do they pull the trigger on someone like Cody Bellinger? I mean, if they sign Cody Bellinger, that pretty much is the end for Alex Bregman with the Astros. I think that's pretty clear. I think Alex Bregman is going elsewhere. I do honestly think that. I think we just got a super chat here. Abraham Garcia, $2 super chat. The Tigers are probably waiting for Bregman. I wouldn't be surprised at that too. Wouldn't be surprised, man. Right? AJ Hinch. Hey, got that connection there. I could see that. I think that makes a lot of sense. Right? Alex Bregman, former LSU Tiger, going to the Detroit Tigers. Right? I like that. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe they do Bellinger here in Houston. That would be insane. If they got, oh my goodness, if they got Cody Bellinger for center field, this lineup would be nasty. I will say that right now. And what an offseason that would be. You'd get Bellinger and Hader. I mean, good grief. I mean, what a move that would be. But I don't know. Does Houston pull the trigger on that? Doesn't seem, I mean, we all said doesn't seem to be in the Astros' DNA to go after these big free agents, but then all of a sudden they go get Hader. So I don't know. I mean, if I'm looking at some other teams, I don't know, man. I honestly keep wondering about this Nationals team. Probably people are thinking I'm crazy right now, but I think it would be really fun. How about Jesse Winker going to the Nationals? Jesse Winker to the Nationals. I mean, I don't know. If you wanted like a big name for Washington, could you do it? Maybe. I don't know. But you got Dylan Cruz coming up. You got James Woods there, man. James Wood, right? So you got a few guys coming up here. I don't know. Do they really pull the trigger on someone? And then they got stuff with ownership going on. I don't know what the deal is there. So I would probably say no to the Nationals. I'm just trying to come up with some different teams here. Really, at the end of the day, I mean, just kind of feels like the Cubs at this point for Cody Bellinger. I don't know, man. Yeah, Matt, Nationals could make noise, but the pitching needs to be fixed. I mean, if I'm the Nationals, honestly, I just go get freaking Blake Snell. You know what I mean? Can you imagine the Nationals getting Blake Snell? Probably doesn't happen. Again, I'm just looking. Here's the thing. The Nationals, if they were willing to spend the money, I think they're actually pretty intriguing because they have all of these young, talented guys coming up. I think this Nationals team, I don't think they're that far away from competing for a wild card. Now, timeline-wise, does a guy like Blake Snell make a whole lot of sense for them? Cody Bellinger make a lot of sense for them? Probably not. I don't know. I see you in the chat. Grant, the Nats were a big spender back then, right? Yeah, they were. They used to drop the bucks, but it's a different situation now. Now that, there could be some changes with the ownership, right? So can we all just take a second to laugh at how funny it would be if the Rockies just came out of nowhere and signed Cody Bellinger? I mean, I would die laughing. I mean, please, can we actually please have this? Like, I kind of need it. I need it in my life. Chris Bryant, Cody Bellinger. I mean, let's be real for a second. If they added Cody Bellinger to this lineup, I'm just saying, man, that is a pretty good-looking lineup here. Listen, hear me out. Would the Rockies be wild card contenders if they had Cody Bellinger in this lineup? You would have Nolan Jones, Chris Bryant, Bellinger. I mean, come on. That's not bad. It's not bad if you ask me. I mean, the pitching is absolutely flaming garbage at this point. I'm just saying. Whatever. No one can pitch in Colorado anyway. You might as well just go with a guns blazing kind of a lineup. Goodness. Big hurt. Belly to the Rockies, and then they still lose more than 100 games. Probably. I'm just saying, man, I kind of want the Rockies to do something. That lineup would be pretty good. And you can't lie to me about that. That would be a pretty fun lineup if they got Cody. I just think it would be hilarious if the Rockies, not even a peep, And then all of a sudden they drop a couple hundred on Bellinger, and then everyone's like, what the heck is going on with this team? But yeah, it seems like the Cubs or nothing at this point for Bellinger. I don't know what else to even think. Houston would be fun. Yeah. I don't know. I would probably say the Cubs. Let's move on here. We got over 300 people in this chat. Thank you for stopping by. If you can, hit that like button for me. We're at 116 likes. The goal for tonight is 200. I would greatly appreciate that. Let's move on here. We have been getting some trade rumors lately, and we're going to get into my Red Sox here. Gear yourselves. Giraffe Neck Robbie is ready to go here. But no, the Red Sox, they're coming up a little bit. It feels like, I don't know. I don't even know what to think. It's like you keep hearing like these possibilities of things the Red Sox could do, and then it just feels like they give you a little, and then they just pull it back, right? And we kind of had a little bit of that today. But let's talk about Jordan Montgomery, right? Jordan Montgomery, still one of the free agents on the board, right? I'm gonna be at Valentine's Day dinner tomorrow, and watch Jordan Montgomery's gonna sign somewhere, and watch Montgomery sign with my Red Sox while I'm eating my dinner, and then I can't go live, and then whatever, and that would be awful. And then he ends up going somewhere else, and then I'm just crying at my dinner. I'm just saying. Anyway, Jordan Montgomery, we got a little something here. And a bit of an update. The Red Sox, according to sources, have kept tabs on Montgomery's market. But if it does collapse in a way that makes him available on a shorter-term deal, there's an industry... My goodness, John Heyman just gave me a heart attack. Kurt Casale to the Marlins. Okay. Oh, I almost just had a heart attack. But if it does collapse in a way that makes him available on a shorter-term deal, there's an industry belief, keyword belief, that he'd be more likely to head to a team with a better chance to win in 2024 than the Red Sox. So not impossible, but highly unlikely. So I guess the first question, what exactly is a short-term deal? I don't know. The one thing with the Red Sox this offseason is they don't want to budge off of 3 years, it seems, right? And that's what I've been told personally, that 3 years seems to be where they're willing to go, right? That's as far as they're willing to go for a pitcher, right? For a position player, they're looking at like 2 years, right? That's what I was told. For Montgomery, it seems like 3. I've been thinking in my head, okay, I know there's like this 3-year thing, right? The Red Sox don't really want to go past it, but I wonder if they would be willing to stretch it to get a deal done to say 4 years, right? To maybe get a deal done for Montgomery. I've said it a million times. I don't really need to go in depth with it. It's a perfect fit for the Red Sox. They need pitching. His wife is there, yada, yada, yada. You've heard me say it before. So this is interesting, though. Because if the Red Sox are not willing to budge on 3 years for Jordan Montgomery, then it comes down to, Jorge Soler, right? Most teams were not wanting to go past 2. The Giants, they said, okay, we'll do the 3, right? So are other teams maybe thinking that with Montgomery, right? How much of a market is there for Montgomery? Like, when you think about it, for a long-term deal, probably not all that much, right? So maybe there are some teams that also think the same as the Red Sox, right? Maybe 3 years, right? Well, we can do 3, right? And Boris, he's holding him out as long as he can, trying to get more years. However, a team that has a better chance to win in 2024 seems to be a spot that he's more likely to go if the Red Sox are not willing to push past. Could this be a leverage play? Listen, Red Sox fans, I feel like have been melting down on X land, Twitter land for what feels like months Like, we get all hyped. This is how Red Sox Twitter land has been going. Everyone gets hyped up. We start to feel good about something. And then we get some bad news. And then people just start jumping off of a cliff. It happens. Like, it's gotten kind of comical at this point when I see all the negativity on Red Sox Twitter. It's actually pretty hilarious to me at this point. Like, people, it's actually just kind of, it's almost lazy at this point. Just like, I get it. You're frustrated. I understand. But it's like, at this point, why even be negative? Why even waste the energy and even type something on your phone? Go eat a sandwich. Go do something else. Whatever. Anyway, I have just completely lost my train of thought. But people were getting really negative about the Red Sox fans were getting really negative about this one. And yeah, I would love Jordan Montgomery. I've been on that train all off season. But if another team that's in contention right now is willing to go past the 3 years, maybe even past 4 years, who knows what that amount even is, then yeah, he's probably going to go to another team, to be honest with you. I know for a fact he has interest in going to the Red Sox because his wife is in Boston, all right? Now, what are some other teams that make sense? Listen, I've been saying this for a while. I think the Phillies make the most sense. I think they do. If they are willing to go for and they're willing to spend that money. Listen, I know Zach Wheeler is a free agent. I know Phillies fans, they would love to have him back. But I'm going to tell you right now, Zach Wheeler is going to get himself a fat contract next offseason. I'm not sure if people are prepared for that. You know what? Let me actually go pull this up. Let's see what Zach Wheeler's contract is going to look like. Let's do this. Let's go to baseball trade values. We can actually go to the player timeline, and we can actually see what a future contract for Zach Wheeler is going to look like. You want to take a look here? Let's say what is Zach Wheeler? Zach Wheeler is, how old is he now? He's like 33. He's going to be 34 when he hits free agency. So let's take a look at this. So Zach Wheeler, he's going to be 34. So basically he's kind of like Jacob deGrom from a couple of years ago, like a Jacob deGrom light. He's not going to get that big of a contract. However, so let's say Jacob deGrom, he got the 5-year 185. Let's say Wheeler also gets 5 years. Oh, I mean, Zach Wheeler could end up getting around that, around that amount. I'm just saying, I think people, man, they need to start realizing Wheeler is going to be really expensive. And I'm going to tell you also this right now, that you got Andrew Painter coming up at some point, Phillies fans. You know this. I know you're excited about Andrew Painter coming off Tommy John. Don't be surprised if Zach Wheeler is gone after next offseason. That's a lot of freaking money right there, right? And that's an extension value, right? That's just an extension, right? I'm just saying. If you did a 4-year deal, you're probably looking at, 4-year 150. I'm sorry. Phillies fans, are they going to pay that? Are they going to do that? I think Wheeler is going to hit that market. And he is going to get a huge contract. So my thinking here is, do they just sign Jordan Montgomery right now? That's a veteran guy that you will have for the next 4 years. You have Aaron Nola, Jordan Montgomery, Andrew Painter is going to come up. Hopefully McAble comes up. Go after another starter next offseason. I'm just saying, Max Fried's going to be on the market. What's Max Fried going to cost? Could you imagine Max Fried on the Phillies? I don't think he would do it. Would he do it? Oh, man. Max Fried, he's actually looking like he's going to get himself a good contract, too. 5 years, 164. That's pretty good. Okay, maybe not Max Fried, but you're going to have some other starting pitchers on the market. I'm telling you, I'm sorry. I think Zach Wheeler's gone. And this makes me think Jordan Montgomery could be possible, right? Because right now, he would go into your rotation as a 3. And remember, Jordan Montgomery, this guy's not an ace by any means. Jordan Montgomery is going to be a solid 2-3. I've said before, I think he's a very good number 2, or he's a great number 3. That's how I think of him. And I think he gives the Phillies the best chance to win a World Series this year. And I know people, they're going to be looking at, center field. We can get back to Bellinger here. I've talked about Bellinger. That's a team I forgot to mention earlier. Cody Bellinger maybe could be the center fielder, right? But it's a lot of contracts at that point. And I know he's been I know Dave Dombrowski's been a little lukewarm when it comes to Johan Rojas. I don't know, man. Are they really going to do Bellinger? You got Schwarber, Turner, Harper, Castellanos, Real Muto. That's 5 guys on deals right there, man. It's a lot. And then if you're bringing Montgomery too, you got a lot of payroll right there. I don't know. Montgomery, I think, is more of a fit for the Phillies. I've said this before. And Phillies fans have even said to me, no, Robbie, I actually think Cody Bellinger is a better fit. Because remember, their offense went cold in the playoffs. Well, you know what? Hey, there were times where the offense went cold, but hey, maybe if you got a heck of a start from a pitcher in that game, maybe you get the W, right? Sometimes the offense, to me, when I'm looking at this offense is legit. You look at the bats in this. I know they were 1 win away. I'm sorry, but if you had Montgomery in your rotation last postseason, you're going to the World Series. Let's just be very clear about that. The offense, maybe they go cold a couple of games. But you know what? Pitching wins championships. And I'm just saying, Jordan Montgomery I thought I just saw a spider or something. My goodness, my ADHD just went through the roof right there. I don't know what the heck I just saw. Anyway, Cody Bellinger, would he have maybe helped the offense a little bit? Sure. Oh, but Jordan Montgomery would have gotten you a win in last year's postseason. I mean, come on now, right? Robert Vale, I think that's actually a pretty good suggestion. Jordan Montgomery, Adam Duvall, gives you a little power. I'll be honest with you. You want to know how I think the Phillies would actually get a little bit better? Oh, Phillies fans are going to hate me for this one. You got to fix Castellanos and his defense, man. Dude, I think Castellanos and Schwarber in the same lineup, that's rough. The bats are great. They are. Fantastic, right? I like me some Castellanos and Schwarber. But good grief, the defense is bad. Castellanos, I had someone tell me Castellanos had 1 error last year. We're in 2024. Can we please get off the error thing? Please? Is that too much to ask? Come on. Just go to Baseball Savant, look at outs above average. If you want to look at a basic stat that's going to really carry you into the understanding of how good defense is, right? Please don't look at errors. Errors aren't the end-all, be-all, right? Sure, they have a little bit of a place, but you look at outs above average if you want to look at defense, right? Nick Castellanos ain't it in right field. I'm going to tell you that right now. So, anyway, I think Montgomery's a perfect fit for this team. He'd be just such a good number 3. You can put Sanchez as more of that swing role kind of a guy. Montgomery would be great for this team. I'll tell you this right now. I'll tell you this. You want a little bit of a tidbit? I'll tell you this. If the Phillies get Jordan Montgomery, I might pick them to win the World Series. I'm not kidding. I am not kidding with you. I actually might pick the Phillies to win the World Series if they get Jordan Montgomery. Because I think that 1-2-3 is as legit as it gets. Right? I see you, Robert. Maybe trade Taijuan Walker too. Maybe. I think this Phillies team is so close, man, and I really think they lack that guy in the postseason, right? Loved Wheeler and Nola, right? But if there were some other teams for Montgomery, I still think, don't count out the Cubs. If the Orioles, I know they just got new ownership. If they were okay with spending a few dollars, I mean, I mean, Burns, Montgomery, Bradish, Rodriguez, and Means. I mean, what a rotation that would be. That'd be insane. What a rotation. Good grief. I would love it. I would hate it as a Red Sox fan, but I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. I think the Orioles, they probably won't do it, but I think it's a lot of fun. I'm not counting out the Houston Astros, everyone. I thought of this the other day. I'm going to tell you this right now. If Jordan Montgomery signs with the Astros, you heard it here first. It's probably not going to happen, but listen, I think Verlander, Valdez, Montgomery, that's a really good 1-2-3, right? You'd have Javier and Brown, or Urquidy probably goes to the bullpen, right? There were reports not too long ago. They're looking for starting pitching. They're open to adding some starting pitching, right? I'm just saying. Skull, TYA, Catch 84. Yeah, I've mentioned the Twins. Will they be willing to spend the bucks? I don't know. I think it'd be a great fit. They could use a lefty in this rotation. You just lost Sonny Gray. I think the Twins make a lot of sense for Jordan Montgomery, right? I'm just saying. So there are options out there. Now, the question is, out of those teams that I mentioned, what team is the most realistic that gives you the best chance to win, right? I think it's really interesting. If Houston all of a sudden emerged as a candidate for Montgomery, which I think is unlikely, but we didn't see it with Hader, and if Philly emerges as a contender for Montgomery, let's say Houston and the Phillies were right there. Let's just imagine it, right? Similar offers from both sides. Where does he go? Does he go to Houston? Or does he go to Philly? I don't know, man. I don't know. I know I'm kind of just, maybe I sound delusional right now. I've been seeing a lot of Red Sox fans, you use that word lately, delusional, right? That's a fun word for Red Sox fans these days. I'd say right now, out of all these teams, I think probably the Phillies seem to make the most sense, because when you have Dave Dombrowski, anything can happen. So I think, honestly, on paper, based off of need and, personal factors as well, call me biased all I want. I think my Red Sox make the most sense. I really think they do. But do they want to spend the money? I don't know about that. I don't know. It's going to be really frustrating, because I know they keep talking about, oh, yeah, well, when we have the window open, when that competitive window is open, that's when you can be aggressive. There's nothing wrong. I don't know if anyone on the Red Sox is ever even going to see this, but if you're watching this right now, hear me out. There's nothing wrong with adding a guy that's going to help you until that next core comes up. There's nothing wrong with adding a guy that's going to help you in the next few years. Yeah, maybe that last year of the contract maybe doesn't work out all that much. Maybe you want to save like that fourth year. You don't want the bad salary on your payroll, whatever. It makes so much sense for the Red Sox to bring him in, right? Because this team can compete for a wild card. They have a good enough lineup. You have a good bullpen. You have good guys in this rotation that it's not the most flashy, right? But they could be decent. I'm not saying they're going to be a top 15 rotation in the game, but you could be middle of the road, right? Pave the way to the bullpen. You got some bats that can make stuff happen. I think you would be a wild card competitor with Jordan Montgomery. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I don't see, why do the Red Sox, why do they think that's such a bad thing? What is wrong with that? Like, that's what I don't get. I would love to be able to ask someone this behind the scenes. Like, hey, I know they'll never talk about specific players at press conferences, right? But I just want to go to Craig Breslow. Like, why aren't you signing Jordan Montgomery? What is the reason? Give me you all know me. I'm as analytical as they come. Like, break it down for me. Why is that not a good idea? I just want to know. Why don't you want to go the fourth year? What is wrong with it? Are they willing to go the 4th year? Maybe they're just waiting it out and they're just holding out, and because Boris is just freaking Scott Boris. I don't know. I will say this: if I were to give any Red Sox fans hope out there, listen, leverage is a thing, and maybe this is a way. Scott Boris, he put it out there. Hey, Montgomery, he's gonna go to a contender, right? If you guys don't start ponying up, he's gonna go somewhere else, right? Maybe this is a way to kind of push the Red Sox a little bit. Agents do this. I put it out on Twitter earlier saying, smells like leverage if you ask me. I put a little gif of The Rock going and doing the smelling thing, right? How about The Rock, WrestleMania? Who's excited for WrestleMania this year? And then I had people, in there saying, "Oh, you're copium, you're delusional, blah, blah, blah." No, it's not coping. I would say the same exact thing if this was another player on another team, right? It's leverage, right? Teams, agents, they do this kind of stuff. They put stuff out into the media. Leverage. It is a thing. It is a thing. Will he end up going to the Red Sox? I don't know. Oh, I hope he does. Anyway, Jordan Montgomery. Let's see, man. Listen, pitchers and catchers are reporting. I think that for the Red Sox, it is tomorrow, and for other teams, it's it's throughout this week pretty much. So we'll see, man. I would imagine Montgomery wants to get something done this week. So, but speaking of the Red Sox, kind of spent a long time talking about that, but let's move on to a couple things. Not going to spend too long on the next story because we just haven't really, there's not really too many other details right now. And we talked a lot about this a couple of nights ago. Before I get to the next story, everyone, we're at 141 likes. If you can, hit that like button for me. We want 200 by the end of the night. We got 300 people in here. Just hit the thumbs up. You just got to push the little button thing. Here we go. So, according to, let me make sure I have the guys right here who wrote this. Chris Smith and Sean McAdam. The Red Sox, they have made it known to other teams they are willing to listen on offers for Kenley Jansen, along with Chris Martin and John Schreiber, right? So Kenley Jansen, we've already talked about this before. We already know the reason for Kenley Jansen, right? I'll talk about the next big thing with Kenley Jansen. There is a bit of an update there. Chris Martin, Schreiber, we haven't fully heard their names, more like kind of speculation, right? But this article pretty much points out with Chris Martin and Schreiber, like Martin, that would also clear some salary. He's going to be making almost $10 million in 2024. And Schreiber, this article was speculating, not really speculating, but they were saying the reason for trading Schreiber is less obvious. Well, Chris Smith, Sean McAdam, do I got good news for you? Because I'm going to tell you exactly why John Schreiber would be a trade piece, and here's why. So let's go to baseballtradevalues.com. Kenley Jansen, I've already told you, it's a salary dump. Chris Martin, basically a salary dump. And I can already see the people saying now, Chris Martin has a negative value. Why is that? Well, it's based off of his projected numbers for next year, minus the salary. Is Chris Martin going to have another phenomenal season next year? I don't know. I mean, projection-wise, probably not, right? He had a phenomenal year last year. So they're pretty much saying this is not what he is worth as a player, right? This is not what he's going to, what he's going to be worth on the field. It's his projected field value minus his salary. So they're pretty much saying he's going to be pretty much giving you $9.5 million worth of field value, and he's getting paid $9.5 million. So it pretty much cancels out. And then John Schreiber. Well, here's the news why John Schreiber could be a trade candidate, Red Sox fans, because he has multiple years of control. He had a good season a couple of years ago, bit of a down year last year, had some injuries, right? But the multiple years of control with a good track record, that's going to give him a good value. right? And he doesn't, and here's the other thing, he doesn't cost a lot. Everyone, I'm challenging all of you. We need to start thinking a little bit more about the value, right? It's not just about the player, right? What are they making? How much money are they making? How many years of control do they have until free agency? We got to start thinking, yes, think of the players as players, right? What do they do? But you have to factor in the salary, the years of control, right? Projections. You got to think about those things, right? So Schreiber, yeah, he has decent value. So he would be a trade candidate because he could bring something back, right? For a team that's in need of bullpen help. Yeah, maybe that could bring something back for the Red Sox to help their team now. They got a whole bunch of guys that can pitch in this bullpen. They have multiple arms. I had a guy coming after me earlier. Who the heck was this guy earlier? He was telling me that the Red Sox are selling off. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Like, did you see the 1997 Marlins have a fire sale? How about 2005? How about after that? How about after 2012 or whatever it was when they brought in Jose Reyes and all those guys, new stadium, and then they traded off everyone? That's selling off your team. No, trading Kenley Jansen, Chris Martin, or John Schreiber is not selling off your team. What the heck are we talking about? Some of these people on X-Land are absolutely, they're out of their freaking minds. I'm going to tell you that right now. Anyway, but the Red Sox, they are open to trading these guys. I think there is a connection between Montgomery and trading Jansen or Chris Martin. Now, the big thing with Kenley Jansen here is, let me actually find it. Big thing with Kenley Jansen, the big update, is that the Red Sox, where is it here? Let me find it. The Red Sox. Oh, here we go. The Red Sox are willing to listen to offers for Kenley Jansen, but to date, they have been reluctant to take on any of Jansen's 2024 salary, according to a source. So that, I've been wondering, why is Kenley Jansen still on this team? And there's been people out there, guess what? Sorry to say it, everyone. Not everyone, but only the people that were saying this. A lot of people, a lot of Red Sox fans were saying, why don't you just trade Kenley Jansen after you sign someone? There you go. There you go. And this is exactly what I was saying. You don't want to sign someone and then box yourself into a corner, right? If you can't trade, right? Because a lot of teams, Kenley Jansen, his field value last year was $8 million. He made $16 million. Think of a car, right? Car, you pay, you owe $25,000 on it, but it's only worth $17,000. That's $8 million underwater. Kenley Jansen was only worth $8 million last year. He made 16. That's underwater. He's only projected for maybe like $13, $14 million of field value this coming year. And he's making 16. So yeah, teams are going to expect the Red Sox to pay some of this salary. It's simple economics. There's no way around it. So no, you don't go sign. If you have a budget, right? If ownership, that's a different conversation. If ownership is putting a budget, then no, you don't go sign someone and then go clear salary. No, you do it the other way around. You clear the salary and then you go sign someone, right? Saw a lot of people saying that, and there you go. There's the reason. Sorry. But to me, they're going to have to eat some of his salary to move him, right? So I've already shown you all before with Kenley Jansen, negative $2.1 million. Yeah, you're going to have to probably eat, like, if you want something decent in return, I mean, yeah, you're probably going to have to eat like maybe $5 million. And they're probably thinking like, well, you know, is it really worth it? Do we just keep him at that point? Or what they could do, I mean, with Chris Martin, I mean, that's, I think, a little less likely. a little more likely, that you wouldn't have to eat some of the salary. Like, you could probably just send Chris Martin somewhere, but you wouldn't really get a whole lot back, right? You'd probably get like a low-level prospect of anything. So that's why I think they're open to trading Martin, because it clears around $10 million. So that could open up the way for the path for Jordan Montgomery there. Whereas Kenley Jansen, you're probably going to have to, because to me, it's like, you have to also, yes, we can look at values and everything, but you also have to look at it from a realistic point of view too. It is Kenley Jansen at the end of the day, right? It's also like a perception thing. Like, if you just trade Kenley Jansen and you don't get anything in return, it's kind of just it's like, what? Like, you traded Kenley Jansen for that guy, for this guy, who, right? So it's kind of like there's a perception thing about it, right? But I do think at the end of the day, economics is the driving factor here. Kenley Jansen, again, if you want something in return. And it comes down to organization-wise, right? Let's say you had a trade with the Phillies. Like someone like Griff McGarry, right? Probably has a couple million in value. Do the Phillies want to get rid of him, right? I've mentioned the Dodgers, right? Like they got some guys there. Someone like a Landon Knack, right? Do they want to get rid of him for Kenley Jansen? It comes down to, do they want to get rid of these players? And organizations know that the Red Sox, they don't have a lot of leverage here, right? Because they know they're trying to get rid of a guy to try and sign a guy, right? So these teams know, like, okay, yeah, like, we know what you're trying to do here. So, yeah, we're going to stand firm, and no, we're not giving up that guy, right? It's not like teams really need Kenley Jansen. That's another thing, too. Kenley Jansen is not like this. In my opinion, yeah, he's like solid to add, but he's not going to be like this like game-changing kind of an addition, right? He's solid for you, solidifies things, but to me, like, there's not a whole lot of teams where like he's a game changer. He'll be good, right? Like the Dodgers, are the Dodgers better off? Look what they did with Ryan Brazier last year. From the Dodgers' point of view, do they really need to bring in Kenley Jansen? I mean, they can just go help one of these other guys on the cheap without having to, give up a prospect and then pay Jansen like $10, $12 million. The Dodgers are thinking, why would we do that? We can just, like, that guy over there, whatever, we can go turn him into an ace pitcher, just like they did with Ryan Brazier last year, right? So, like, why do the Dodgers have to bring in Kenley Jansen? For the Phillies, it could give them a little bit of stability, but the Phillies are pretty thin in their farm. Do they really want to give up a whole lot of pieces, and I don't know. And the Phillies, too, here's another thing with the Phillies. You got to think about it from this point of view. The Phillies probably want Jordan Montgomery. So if they trade for Kenley Jansen, well, then the Red Sox are probably going to get Jordan Montgomery. Maybe the Phillies want Jordan Montgomery. So maybe they're looking at the Red Sox like, no, we don't want to help you because we want him, right? So that's the way I think about it. I'm just saying. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. The Rangers, I have the Rangers pulled up here. That could make some sense. Maybe. But TV issues, right? They're going to have to spend probably like $10 million, at least. The Red Sox, do the Rangers want to spend $16 million on Kenley Jansen? I don't know. They already added David Robertson. So to me, I think the Red Sox, they're kind of backed into a corner here. So it's going to be interesting. Out of these three, I wonder if Chris Martin ends up being the guy, which that would stink, man. He had a good season last year. So we'll have to wait and see how this all happens. But we've also had some rumors here on Ha-Seong Kim. Ha-Seong Kim has been getting some interest. And where is Ha-Seong Kim? Hold on a second. Kim. Did I already click out of my story? Hold on a second. Let me pull out of my story. I must have clicked on the wrong one. Where is it? Here we go. Here we go. Okay, so Padres looking for upgrades. Could Kim be moved? Right? General manager A.J. Preller said that San Diego has been pretty active in the free agent and trade markets at this point in the offseason, including ongoing trade discussions with other clubs. Says here, we're always going to be looking to add and improve the team that starts camp here in the next couple of days. It's not going to be the team that obviously we finish with. And just getting back to the Red Sox too, Craig Breslow, Alex Cora, they pretty much made it sound like that the team is not done yet. So expect the Red Sox to make some moves, I would think, in the next week or so. But there are reports out there that Ha-Seong Kim is getting a lot of interest out there. Where did it say it here? San Diego. Could Kim be moved? I know I just saw a quote earlier. I was like, San Diego's potential openings. Am I going to be the team? I know there was a quote here. Okay, well, whatever. There was a report today that Ha-Seong Kim, there's been a lot of teams showing interest in him. So, now, here's the problem with Ha-Seong Kim. There's 3 problems. No, wait, 2 problems. 2 problems. 2 problems. First off, you got the Korea series coming up. I mean, I don't know. I guess you don't necessarily need to have Ha-Seong Kim to go to that, but I would think that's, like a common sense kind of a thing, that you have your guy who was in the KBO prior, and, kind of makes sense to maybe have him. But besides that, there's not really much of a market for Ha-Seong Kim, in my opinion. All right, and if you're looking at Ha-Seong Kim, really good season last year. Hit 260, a 351 on base, 112 WRC+, plus, had a little bit of pop, 17 home runs. He had a 4.4 Fangraph WAR. His defense is absolutely amazing. He can go play some shortstop and second base. He can even play some third base too. So he's going to give you stellar defense out there. He's going to give you some speed as well. Look at the speed last year. He had a 5.1 base running and 38 stolen bases. So Ha-Seong Kim, he's going to be a very good player. All right. Now, the teams, there's not a lot of teams out there that really need, in my opinion, like a shortstop or a second baseman. There's not a lot of clean fits. Now, the Marlins could totally use a shortstop. Absolutely could use a shortstop. Right? You got John Birdie there right now. They make a lot of sense, and they have pitching, right? If the Padres wanted to add some pitching into this rotation, which they could use, they could definitely use some of it. I'm just saying. If you did, right now, you got Musgrove, Darvish, you brought in King, and you got Avila and Vasquez. So the Marlins do have some pitching that maybe they could send back. Again, it's probably going to be 1 year of Ha-Seong Kim because there's a mutual option for 2025. Mutual options usually don't get exercised. So you're basically, you're banking on 1 year of Ha-Seong Kim, right? Maybe the Blue Jays, maybe. Right now the way I look at it is I like Davis Schneider. I think that's a good fit. To me, I'd rather keep Davis Schneider for multiple years, than Ha-Seong Kim, if I were to be completely honest. You got Kevin Biggio at third. So, I don't know. I think Ha-Seong Kim, he would definitely be good for this team. But, he would definitely be an upgrade over, Biggio, right? So, Biggio could maybe, go more to that bench role. Schneider, he can play third. Kim, he can play second. So that works, right? So the odd man out would be Biggio there, right? So, yeah, Kim could make some sense. They got some pieces that, they got Kikuchi, veteran guy that can go give them some innings now in that rotation. I don't know if the Blue Jays move Alek Manoah at this point, but I don't know. I feel like the Blue Jays probably want to hang on to Alek Manoah despite the bad year last year. So, a couple of trades I came up with. Of course. Google Chrome always has to refresh everything. The trade I came up with the Blue Jays and the Padres, you could maybe do Kikuchi, Brandon Barrera, and maybe Yasser Zulueta, right? Kikuchi, I think, makes sense, but Barrera, I don't know about that. Zulueta, sure. I don't know if Blue Jays fans would like this personally. I don't know. It could make sense. Now, the trade that I had with the Marlins, I think, I would really like to see Ha-Seong Kim on the Marlins if he were to go somewhere. And I think that would be pretty nice for them, honestly. So if I were to do a trade, right, let's put Ha-Seong Kim on Miami. And Miami, they really could use some base running. So that's something to think about too. Right? They were not a very good team on the base paths last year. So if you're the Marlins, I'll tell you, man, you got a couple of young guys here. Edward Cabrera would be interesting. Could you just do a straight up swap? Right? Edward Cabrera to the Padres. Ha-Seong Kim to the Marlins. I don't know. Does Edward Cabrera really push the needle for you if you're the Padres? I mean, he has a lot of control issues, but he has good stuff. Maybe the Padres could figure something out with him. So I don't know. But for the Marlins, though, is Ha-Seong Kim really going to do all that much for you? That's the only way that's the only way I think about it, right? Because the Marlins are in like this weird spot where they don't have Sandy Alcantara. I don't know. Like the Marlins feel like, to me, like, yeah, they'll be competing, but does Ha-Seong Kim fully push you over the edge? I think it would help out that lineup for sure. So I think if you were to give something up, maybe Cabrera, right? You'd be, you've tried everything you can with the control issues with Cabrera. You just can't figure it out. Maybe you could do that. Or, maybe you could come up with a couple other different pieces. Maybe you could do like Trevor Rogers, right? I believe Trevor Rogers grew up in New Mexico. I believe. That would be pretty fun for him to go to the Padres. And that'd be a pretty solid starter for the Padres to add. But do the Marlins want to give up Trevor Rogers for Ha-Seong Kim? I don't think so. All right, you'd probably have to give up more than Ha-Seong Kim if you wanted someone like Trevor Rogers, right? Or we could do this trade with my Red Sox involved. I'm not giving up just yet. I mentioned this the other day. Red Sox get Jesus Luzardo. Marlins, they get a whole package. You get Robbie Snelling from the Padres. You get Kim. You got him for the year. But they get a couple of pitching prospects from the Red Sox and Wickelman Gonzalez. You get Nick York. There's a bat for your system. The Padres get Jaron Duran. The Red Sox also send them Emmanuel Valdez, an infielder that can replace Ha-Seong Kim on their roster. I think this helps out everyone. The Marlins get a package of a major league ready guy for this year. Robbie Snelling, top pitching prospect. You get some other pitching. You get a bat for your system. The Red Sox get a left-handed starter for their rotation for 3 years. That doesn't cost all that much. I think this is a win-win. I don't care what anyone else says. If you don't like it, eat my shorts. I like this trade. And you know what? If I click on validate trade, this says fair trade. So bite me if you don't like it. Anyway, everyone, I think I'm going to wrap it up there. I feel like we went a pretty long time tonight. Man, we were on here for a pretty long time. Did we get to 200 likes? Oh, come on. We were on here for an hour and 20 minutes, and we're only at 166 likes. Come on. The goal was 200. I thought we were going to get to 200. But everyone, if you can, hit that like button for me on the way out. It would greatly help out with the replay viewers as well. Make sure that bell notification is turned on. That way you know I go live if something does happen. I uploaded a video yesterday. Thank you for all the views on that on the first day or two. How long has it been up now? Yeah, it was about a full day now. So thank you for those that did watch that yesterday. But make sure the bell's on so that way you know I have uploaded something or I'm going live. Share the show for the replay viewers if you can. Subscribe if you are new as well. Everyone, I'm heading out of here. I think that coffee's starting to wear off. I was hoping something would happen while we were live. It is not. I know I said, hey, maybe 1 a.m. something happens. The coffee will be running through my veins. I don't know. I'm starting to feel it now. I'm pretty tired. Everyone, again, I won't be here tomorrow night. Again, it is Valentine's Day. Hey, gotta go have myself a good meal with the lovely girlfriend tomorrow. And gotta do that. But if something does happen tomorrow night, please be on the lookout for a morning stream Thursday. Be there or be square. Everyone, have yourself a great rest of your night. Have a good Valentine's Day tomorrow. Hey, go do something, right? Hey, plenty of stuff to do on Valentine's Day. Just saying. Everyone, thank you for stopping by tonight. I'll talk to you next time.